Absorbing an attack resets cooldown. So he wants to be quite mobile. So my guess is he's going to be doing more of the damage, Troldachi. Berserk duration increased 1 second and damage taken lessened. So he's trying to be a little tinky. I think you have to take dive on Pearl. I just think it's the best. So we're going to see this early game poke here. And the E is going to land. Going to heal back up though. As a couple M1s hitting from the old door. And here's the pressure from Lucy. He is going to use the shield. There it is triggered. And actually didn't see the flash coming out. So a little bit surprised by that. As Oldur dodges the armor break. Or I'm sorry, Troldachi. And that was Oldur, yeah. Dodges it. And hits the Petrify onto Rook. And so Rook's able to steal that. I believe that was him. Or no, it looks like blue team got it. And there's the Petrify onto Pearl. As Oldur again trying to stay away. Going to turn around. Does get the time bender. So it's going to reset his space if he needs it. And not needing it quite yet. And it looks like basically what they're running is just out 1v1 each other, or the enemy. As you see, Oldur's kind of healing himself. Lucy's kind of healing herself. They're going to be, doing a little bit here and there, I think, of some cross healing. But I basically think they're trying to 1v1 win as much as possible. As here could be some big damage onto Rook. Not quite yet. He's going to use the space to get away. Goes actually into the Pearl, but going to fall back now, and Rook does not trigger his counter. So he's at a little bit of a disadvantage here as Pearl jumps in, does get the silence onto Oldur. Oldur going to have to wait. The counter not going to hit, though, so she's not going to get the heal. Going to space around the bubble. A little bit more damage coming out. Here's the ultimate again from Oldur. Does decide to go on Pearl. Pearl gets stunned as both Lucy and Oldur are still pretty high up, and he does absorb there, so he's going to be mobile here. Again, Incapacitate coming out onto Lucy. Lucy, though, not taking really any damage. As the EX, looked like, was that the EX from Pearl, I think, came out, but really didn't do any much damage as Rook is getting very low. And going to space through Rook, one hit. It is going to survive as he eats his meat. And blue team again stealing the orb, and Rook is going to be taken down. Good game, or good first round, rather. As Lucy, it looked like she didn't even take any damage. Did Lucy take damage? Holy cow. And we're starting to see players get into the thousands here, which we're not surprised. As again, I know Troldachi from BLC, and he's just an amazing player. And he's been in this for a while. Alpha tester, you see that? So what did he pick up? He picked up Renew, so he's going to get a little bit more healing on his heals. I think that'll let him duel a little bit harder. The snare coming out from Flask. Boulder Toss doing more damage and causing armor break. And then the lesser bubble barrier. So it'll be interesting to see how that comes into play. That's not one of my favorite ones, but maybe he knows something I don't. As he coming in there, Sands of Time, he does go invulnerable, but immediately the Flask comes out and takes that off. And that's what I was talking about before with this Lucy. So hard to play Rook against Lucy because of that immediate debuff, and that's such a huge component of making Rook strong. So look at that, the space coming out onto Oldur, and Oldur taking almost no damage in those trades as Rook is 1 bar of health left. As there's the invulnerable. The Flask isn't ready, so he is going to be berserk for a while. It does get pushed back as Pearl was petrified, so not super worried about that. And blue team does get the orb. That was very close. I thought that red team had a really good chance of getting it as the armor break coming out onto Lucy, but no pressure, able really to come back out. The counter not triggered. Here's the ultimate. Going to go on to the Pearl. Pearl was petrified, though, so no stun does hit as Lucy able to get out of there. And now a little bit of pressure coming here onto Pearl as Pearl is in the front line. The stun coming on, or the petrify coming on to Rook as Rook's got to watch Pearl just get beat there. And again, the blue team does get the orb. The EXQ coming out from Oldur to stop any of the Lucy bolts from coming in. And again, the damage coming out. The E is going to hit through that, but he might have actually triggered the invulnerability right as that happened. And he's going to space out Rook as, again, they go on to Pearl. And that lesser bubble barrier coming into play a little bit as Rook is taken out, and synchronized killing here in Battlerite as they go up 2 rounds. Troldachi and PTX on the Lucy Oldur combo. So pretty strong performance here so far from PTX and Troldachi. Let's see, how are they going to adjust here? What does the red team need to do to come back in this? I think the hard part is Rook is so dependent on triggering his counter, and these are two really strong players, and so they might have to play a little bit different and have Pearl be a little bit more damage oriented, Rook being a little bit more peel oriented maybe, as huge damage coming out there onto Pearl as she wasn't able to counter hers. She ate that E and had the Sand of Time up. So you see that a lot of the damage coming out here, Rook is trying to play a little bit more passive, which is what I was talking about, but I think he needs to try to focus who Pearl is focusing. As you see, they're kind of having their own 1v1s. I don't think that's to their advantage, because they're just going to get out-sustained if that happens. As the orb is on the other side of the blue team, and so red team does get their first orb of the match. And Rook, unfortunately, just barely hitting that wall, is going to get petrified there from the Lucy. The follow-up onto Pearl. Here's the ultimate. The stun going out. He dodges Pearl's ultimate, and some big damage coming out. The counter does trigger, though. He absorbs the spell there from Pearl, and a bit of damage now coming out on the Lucy as he was able to get the Berserk. The Petrify coming out there. Some follow-up damage. He does get it to proc again. They're going to be able to get the second orb, and that is pretty good here for the red team as Troldachi jumping in there as Uldur. And let's see, do they get a Petrify and follow up on a target? Armor break coming out again. And there's the stun, a little bit of follow-up. Not going to hit the counter, and now Rook is going to be a little bit at a disadvantage. The stun coming out, wow, big damage, as I think that was an M1E EXM1. I'm not 100% sure. That was just big damage coming out there from Troldachi. And trying to heal up the incapacitated Lucy. And now refocusing onto Rook, as Rook taking a lot of damage as he tries to exit out of there. The armor break onto Troldachi, but Troldachi still at almost full health. There's the Petrify there from Lucy. Good EXE to control her. I haven't really been paying great attention to it, but I haven't seen any deadly injects, I don't think, coming out from PTX. So I'm kind of surprised by that. But again, they have so much sustain. I don't know if they really need to push the damage that high. So she's pushing the control a little bit higher, as again we see a Petrify coming out there and just taking so much damage. And the other thing that's good about that is as you take that damage in the Petrify, they are going to be gaining energy too. So they're getting really easy energy gain, and they're not super worried, I don't think, about breaking the Petrify. Again, they have so much more sustain, and they actually have really good damage as they picked two champions that are kind of, I don't want to say hybrid. They're obviously support characters, but it's not like you pick a character in this game and you can do no damage. As you can see, 1,200 damage coming out from this Uldur, which is just pretty insane. All four players scoring over 1,000 in this one. 1,600 score for PTX, as just doing an amazing job controlling the enemy team. So we'll see what Troldachi and PTX do here. I don't know if they need to change anything. They end up picking up, let's see here, the Rejuvenating Sands, the lower the cooldown, and then this, I just think that's so good with this lineup. The Weakening Toxic is going to do incoming healing reduced and outgoing damage reduced. Like, they're already so far behind. Oh, that's going to be so difficult to deal with. And then increased healing receiving, which that's pretty good. And then increasing the silence duration, I don't know if that's what you need right now. I can't remember what the other options are here from Pearl, but I just feel like that the Lucy Battlerite is such a stronger power swing than what they grabbed there. So, and lowering the cooldowns, again, I think is a much stronger swing in the Battlerite power here. So they loaded up that bubble barrier with a bunch of projectiles. It did go out. It didn't do a ton of damage, but Rook already down half health. Pearl now down half health with that combo there coming out from Uldur. Uldur almost has his ultimate. There is the ultimate coming out from Uldur. The Berserk is triggered, but look at how much damage he takes just trying to close the gap from that, as Lucy's still at 3/4 health. A couple heals coming out there to keep her alive. The Petrify came out onto Pearl, and there's another Petrify onto Rook as he sets up the E combo onto Rook, and Rook is taken out. Pearl, down to her last bar of health, has a little bit of shield as she uses her R on herself, trying to stay alive. She's going to dive away. She'll have that silence as Troldachi puts up the shield. She didn't use it, so she petrifies her, and then into another Petrify. Holy cow, these guys are coordinated. Bubbles coming out everywhere. She's trying so desperately to stay alive. Going to dodge the E. Gets the silence onto the Lucy. Is it going to be enough, though? The counter coming out. They're still both at least 3/4 health. This is such a difficult fight. She's doing a very good job staying alive. Pearl can be so annoying to try and kill. as big damage coming out there as the M1 hits into the E. And so what happens there is when Sands of Time is on a character, if they're able to hit the E, which is the one that comes out of Uldur, I can't remember the name of it, but it hits the ground, it takes the rest of the damage, it deals damage, then the rest of the damage of Sands of Time immediately. So it ends up being like a big burst, basically. In Trildachi, I'm kind of surprised they're going for the heal version of his ultimate, and then Crippling Goo resetting the Clarity Potion. I don't think we're ever going to see a Crippling Goo come out, quite honestly. And then what was picked up here, the ultimate, so Tremor, Influx, Armor Break, and then Recharged Weapon. But again, we haven't seen really any ultimates coming out from those 3 characters, just a couple from Uldur. And so is going to dodge the Armor Break there as he comes through that Bubble Shield. Kind of wasted, unfortunately, as the Berserk was triggered, but doesn't take too much damage as the Fear comes out. Blue team does get the Orb, and there's the Goo, actually. Does she drop the Flask to push her in? No, it ends up using it onto Rook to debuff the Rook. As I just said, we hadn't even seen a Goo come out, and she ends up using Goo, so that was kind of funny. As Uldur, again, just deep in there doing a lot of damage. Going to space over the wall to avoid a bit of pressure here as Rook tried to engage but wasn't able to because of that. The counter coming out, not going to trigger, and so now she's going to be a little vulnerable as Uldur trying desperately to just put in a ton of pressure as Lucy came around the corner and did a bit herself. Here comes the ultimate, not able to hit. That would have been pretty big as Pearl is taken out. Rook going to be at a quarter health as, again, both PTX is at like full health. And I was going to say that Uldur is at 3/4, but he is a little bit lower now. Going to heal up a little bit. Damage coming out here. Rook trying to heal himself up. There's the Petrify, and the M1s are going to finish him off. What a strong performance here by PTX and Trildachi. We're in, like, they're in the 3rd or 4th round.